Within the Hunter x Hunter anime and manga, it is not uncommon to find sets of very specific supernatural abilities. Nen as a power system both lends itself well to overly specific and overly broad ability types. As often as you'll get an ability like Bungee Gum, which both has the texture of rubber and gum, you're just as likely to get some niche ability that's powerful in a very specific situation. One of my favorite points of storytelling explored partly within the Succession Contest arc is the idea of Nen for political purposes. Specifically, the way in which Nen being used during the early foundation of the Kakin Empire would eventually lead to it becoming a superpower on the worldwide stage. The country of Kakin, before becoming the superpower we know it as today, got its start as a small country with larger countries surrounding it threatening to overtake it. Whether as a strategy to unify all of these different regions that would become Kakin, or as a means to consolidate strength to then overcome these other regions, the Kakin Seed Urn was conjured by the first king of Kakin as a means to sift through potential candidates and eventually choose someone for succession of the Kakin throne. Each child born to a queen that has officially married the king of Kakin must offer their blood to the Seed Urn, and in exchange will not only be entered for the running of the succession contest, but will get access to a pool of Postmortem Nen in which the Seed Urn does its thing. The Seed Urn isn't specifically conjured as a means to directly choose the next candidate for succession within Kakin. Rather, it is a means to an end which provides the tools to the succession candidates which will help them in their journey of fighting for that position of royalty. We know enough that we can generally intuit why it functions the way it does and what comes next after what we already know. In chapter 371, we see this set of 14 coffins that Momose is laid into after she is assassinated, and the language that's used as she's being laid to rest seems to indicate that these coffins play some sort of role in the Seed Urn and the succession contest's overall functions. King Nasabi says, at least in the TCB Scans translations, which I've been using for these videos, Momose will become the foundation for the Tree of Kakin. She is shining even brighter than in life. Coupled with the introduction blurb that we get in chapter 349 for what a guardian spirit beast is, which describes it as a Nen beast created at the time of death by the powerful desire for the perpetuation of one's descendants, we can infer that the point of the Kakin Seed Urn and the overall succession contest ritual is to take the postmortem Nen of the candidates who are killed during the ritual and to feed it back into the Seed Urn to perpetuate the process, which seems to be mainly as a way to make a form of Nen that only compounds in potency as time goes on. Nen as a power system is fundamentally based in checks and balances, which obfuscate the flow of power if you aren't willing to give up much in exchange. Time and time again within Hunter x Hunter, the main thing we see when it comes to Nen and death is that death is the ultimate thing somebody could give in exchange for power. Or rather, the idea that if they think they're gonna die or that they have nothing for them after a situation, that they are able to pull from more power as a result because there's nothing else for them to lose or give up. We see this best with Neferpito at the end of the Chimera Ant arc. When backed into a corner by Gon turned into an adult, having vowed to utilize all the strength he will ever have because there's nothing else for him after that fight, Neferpito ends up taking a similar approach in commanding their self-puppeting specialist ability Terpsichore to keep puppeting their body no matter the damage it could do to them. By throwing caution to the wind in the face of danger, Neferpito was able to pull more power out of their abilities than they could have pulled before. And because Nen responds to desire, even after Neferpito's head had been crushed by Gon, their specialist ability continued to stick around after the fact, running on orders that were so important to the person that once gave them, that they continue to play out even after they're no longer around. While there are other examples of Postmortem Nen within Hunter x Hunter, notably after Chimera Ant, the Sun and Moon ability, which continued to be in Chrollo's book despite the fact its original user had died, I find Neferpito's example of Postmortem Nen to be the most straightforward in describing what Postmortem Nen is as a concept. I view Postmortem Nen as a spontaneous mutation of an ability that you can only tap into when you are essentially on the verge of death or have already died. This spontaneous mutation can, in a way, be influenced by strong desire, like Hisoka commanding Bungee Gum to restart his heart after he died during his fight against Chrollo in Heaven's Arena. Trying to rely on accessing Postmortem Nen is like trying to anticipate a critical hit in an RPG. There's no way you can know if your next hit is going to be a normal hit or if it'll spontaneously do that extra damage that a critical hit offers. But if you're in a situation where it's do as in get a critical hit or die as in don't, then what do you have to lose for trying? I think that's probably the reason why Postmortem Nen as a concept exists. It is the universe essentially rewarding the person trying a Hail Mary in the moment where they have nothing else to lose by getting some sort of spontaneous power boost that allows them to tackle the immediate situation they're in. Like with the Meteor City Elder, who Chrollo got the Sun and the Moon ability from, he specifically created that ability as a way to protect Meteor City, and assuming on his deathbed his biggest worry was, how are these people going to be protected if I'm not here? That must have in some way taken advantage of Postmortem Nen, allowing the ability to continue to stick around in Chrollo's Skill Hunter. All this, I say, as a way to explore the idea that Nen not only becomes stronger after death, but that the very act of dying and leaning your Nen on that fact can give it a major power boost, because what is there greater to give up than your own life? Which, as far as Nen as a power system being based on sacrifices and returns, checks and balances goes, it just makes sense. So, after a prince that can run for the Kakin throne gives a drop of blood to the Seed Urn, what happens next? You end up with a guardian spirit beast, which is like other Nen beasts, intelligent or non-intelligent life forms constructed with Nen, but they function differently for a few different reasons, mainly why they were made and how they were made. Why they were made is easy. They were made to take Nen, cumulative Nen, and use it to assist the Kakin successors either in their candidacy to become a successor or in their tenure as a successor after the fact. The how is that the Guardian Spirit Beasts are initially created using Nen from the Seed Urn, but then they start to take on the aura of the person they're attached to, which not only shapes their ability, but the qualities of their character. Guardian Spirit Beasts are weird as far as Nen goes. It's not often that there's a Nen beast with a mind of its own, because typically, if a Nen beast exists, a Nen beast was created intentionally by a Nen user, and that means they are in control of its behavior. Guardian Spirit Beasts are interesting because the first bit of Nen that actually started to make them came from the Kakin Seed Urn, and while their abilities and personalities and appearances are based off of the prince that they are powering themselves with the Nen/aura from, the Guardian Spirit Beasts themselves were otherwise conjured from a completely separate source to the ones that would be benefiting most from their presence. It's this distinction between Nen Beasts as something that somebody will intentionally conjure using Nen, and Guardian Spirit Beasts as something made unintentionally by the process of the succession contest, that ultimately makes me so interested in what Nen as a power system is. Hunter x Hunter was never necessarily this, but in its current state, it has progressed far past the point where the general idea of what its supernatural power system can offer is hitting dudes harder, or hitting dudes with a fist that's on fire, or hitting dudes with a sword that you make out of thin air. Just the sheer fact that Hunter x Hunter is at the point where it can utilize a power system designed for an action shonen to facilitate this complex political drama death game, all while not compromising its original vision for itself, but instead fleshing it out further. It speaks to Yoshihiro Togashi's mastery of storytelling. as well as the sheer creativity of concepts on display that keep me coming back to Hunter x Hunter. Without such an intricately defined power system as Nen, or without a creative mind like Togashi's, we wouldn't have gotten something like the Guardian Spirit Beasts. Supernatural manifestations of a growing country's will to continue growing, even while stepping over the corpses of those it killed to get there. I think Prince Benjamin's Guardian Spirit Beast looks pretty cool, and I am really interested in what it does. Togashi, please tell us sometime soon. Hockenberg's Guardian Spirit Beast stopping him from shooting himself in the head when he went to confront King Nasabi about the succession contest. That was very cool, reminiscent of Jotaro trying to demonstrate Star Platinum's existence right at the start of Part 3 of JoJo. Prince Zhanglei's Guardian Spirit Beast is pretty interesting. It's got the thing where it drops the coins and they appreciate in value over time, and people think you can stick the coins in the beast's mouth to get something. It's very much a concept that relies on baking in the background of the story while it's focusing on something else in the meantime. The succession contest is filled with a lot of examples of sort of multi-tiered or multi-stage Nen abilities, and that is represented in part through a lot of the Guardian Spirit Beasts. Out of all the Chekhov's gun type concepts that Togashi introduces in this Hunter x Hunter arc, Zhanglei's Guardian Spirit Beast and the coins that it drops over time are definitely one of my favorite examples overall. Tsuraynich's Guardian Spirit Beast is probably the most iconic of the bunch visually. It is by far the most out there conceptually as far as its ability and visual design goes. And with this Guardian Spirit Beast being attached to one of the best Nen prodigies that we have ever seen come out of the series ever, you get the sense that even the Guardian Spirit Beast fighting for Tsuraynik on its own would be really fucking scary. Disregarding the fact that Tsuraynik himself seems to have a crazy amount of aura or a crazy amount of proficiency with aura. You know, as if this guy being unhinged and scarily powerful wasn't terrifying enough, now he's got a Guardian Spirit Beast firmly on his side that can not only detect lies, but reportedly make people into something that isn't human anymore. Hey, Togashi, are you going to elaborate on that anytime soon? Could you please think about elaborating on that anytime soon? I would really appreciate that. Please, pretty please. Bats my eyelashes at you very cutely.